Chosen one. Listen carefully, because this day is not like any other. There is a test that will not come from an enemy, not from a stranger, but from someone you know, someone you trust, perhaps even someone you love dearly. Heaven has arranged this moment, not to break you, but to reveal what is truly unshakable inside of you. You need to understand your greatest battles rarely come dressed as battles. They come as conversations, as small disappointments, as the unexpected words of a trusted voice. The enemy cannot destabilize you from the outside, so he seeks to use the ones closest. But even then, it is God who allows the test, because only fire can reveal pure gold. Trust is a delicate gift. It is like glass, clear, beautiful, but vulnerable to cracks. And where your trust lies deepest, there the strike will fall. You may feel it as betrayal, as rejection, or as disappointment. But in reality, it is a divine hammer striking your heart, shaping you into something stronger. Think of it like clay in the hands of a potter. The clay does not understand why it is being pressed, is spun, reshaped, and even broken again. Yet the potter sees the final vessel, the masterpiece that the clay itself cannot imagine. In the same way, this test is forming you into what heaven already knows. You are destined to become. There was once a chosen one who faithfully waited for years. They trusted someone deeply, confided secrets, shared dreams, and leaned on that relationship. Yet when their breakthrough season came close, betrayal struck. It felt like a knife hidden in a smile. For a time, they grieved, asking God why he allowed such pain. But in the silence, a realization dawned. The betrayal was not their destruction. It was their promotion. It forced them to depend fully on God. And that shift unlocked an authority and peace they had never known before. So hear this: when the test of trust comes, it is not a sign of abandonment. It is a sign of elevation. If Jesus himself endured betrayal from one of his closest followers, should you be surprised when the same pattern touches your life? The crown you are called to wear is not given without fire. And trust is one of the deepest fires you must endure. The Spirit spoke through the prophet Jeremiah, chapter 17, verse 7. Blessed is the one who trusts in the Lord, whose confidence is in him. This is not simply a verse to memorize, it is a command for survival. People will shift. Voices will change. Hearts will fail. But your blessing is sealed only when your trust remains anchored in the Lord. Chosen one. The test will come suddenly. Perhaps it will be a sharp word, an unexpected action, or a subtle disappointment. Do not be caught off guard. See it for what it is, a divine test. Your reaction will determine whether you move forward into your next season or remain stuck in cycles of confusion. Picture a bowstring pulled tight. The tension is uncomfortable, almost unbearable. Yet without it, the arrow cannot fly. This is your moment of tension, the uncomfortable pullback before the release into destiny. If you endure, if you choose to keep trusting God rather than collapsing into offense, you will soar further than you ever dreamed. Now, let your spirit respond. If this word resonates with you, don't let it pass silently. Mark it, declare it, comment the number 999 as a prophetic sign that you are ready to trust God above all else. Let it be your seal, your agreement with heaven, that you will not fail this test. And if you sense the weight of this message, share it. Someone you know is about to face their own test of trust and needs this warning. Subscribe as well, not out of obligation, but to stay aligned with the flow of words heaven is sending for your journey. The test is here, and it will come through the one you least expect. Do not stumble. Rise. This is your proving ground. Do not mistake this as punishment, for it is preparation. The same God who allowed Daniel to enter the lion's den also sent angels to shut the lions' mouths. The same God who permitted Joseph to be sold by his brothers raised him to rule over nations. So, it will be with you. The hand that wounds may think it has the final word, but heaven always writes the last chapter. Stand firm. Keep your heart pure. And let this test prove your faith unshakable. Your destiny is closer than you realize. Hold fast. The crown is near. You may be wondering why this moment feels so precise, so perfectly timed. Why do the words you hear now seem to echo the very thoughts and struggles you have been carrying in silence? It is because heaven has paused for you. Nothing about this message is accidental. Nothing is the result of mere coincidence. God has arranged it like a carefully woven tapestry, every thread pulling you into this encounter. The truth is, God's hand has always been guiding you, even when you felt forgotten. You may recall seasons when doors closed suddenly, when opportunities slipped from your grasp, or when relationships ended without explanation. At the time, it looked like loss, but in reality, heaven was rearranging the path beneath your feet so that you would stand exactly where you are right now. Picture a master sculptor chiseling away at stone. To the untrained eye, it looks like destruction, as though the sculptor is ruining the block. Yet every strike of the hammer is intentional, shaping the hidden figure within. That is what God has been doing in your life, chiseling, removing, carving away what does not belong. And now, at this precise moment, He brings you face to face with the test that will confirm what He has built inside of you. Heaven pauses for you because this season is delicate. A wrong step could delay your breakthrough, but the right step will accelerate it. That is why the Lord arrests your attention now, so you cannot say you were unaware. His voice cuts through the noise of your thoughts, your fears, your doubt, reminding you, I see you. I have not forgotten you. I am preparing you for elevation. And think of the story of Esther. She did not realize that the crown on her head and the position she held were part of a divine pause orchestrated by God. While others thought her rise was luck or coincidence, heaven had paused history itself to position her for a moment of deliverance. In the same way, your current placement, even your pain, is not random, it is preparation. You have been hidden for a reason, because when the time comes, your voice will matter, your endurance will shine, and your obedience will carry weight beyond yourself. But let us be honest, heaven's pauses rarely feel comfortable. To you, they look like waiting, like silence, like unanswered prayers. They feel like wilderness seasons where nothing moves forward. Yet that stillness is the classroom of God. It is in the pause that you learn to hear His whisper, to discern His nudges, to rely not on the noise of others, but on the certainty of His presence. Without that pause, you would miss His instruction. The ancient words recorded in the book of Lamentations, chapter 3, Verse 26. It is good to wait quietly for the salvation of the Lord. That single line captures the essence of this moment. Waiting is not weakness. Waiting is not wasted time. Waiting is where the roots of your spirit grow deep enough to withstand the storms of tomorrow. Imagine standing at a busy intersection with cars rushing by from every direction. If you attempt to cross without the light pausing traffic, you will be struck down. But when the light turns red and everything halts, the way becomes clear. Heaven's pause is that red light protecting you, slowing the chaos around you, so that your path forward can open safely. Do not despise this pause. Chosen one, you may feel restless, longing for movement, for answers, for breakthrough. But God's timing is not late. He is aligning events, conversations, and even hearts around you to ensure that when you step, it will not be in vain. If He has paused you, it means the next movement carries eternal weight. There was once a chosen one who prayed desperately for open doors. When silence came instead, they nearly lost hope. Yet years later, they discovered that the delay was not denial. In that pause, God had strengthened their spirit, sharpened their discernment, and prepared connections they could not see. When the door finally opened, they were not the same person who once begged for it. They were stronger, wiser, and ready to carry what awaited them. So here you are, in your own pause. God is not ignoring you. He is amplifying you. He is pressing your life like grapes in a press, not to crush you, but to release the wine hidden within. The pause is proof that heaven is orchestrating something greater than you can currently imagine. Lift your eyes beyond the silence. Do not let impatience convince you that nothing is happening. Heaven is moving pieces you cannot see, and the pause is His mercy. What feels like delay is actually protection. What feels like stillness is actually preparation. Chosen one, heaven has paused for you today. This message is the proof. Receive it as a sign that you are not wandering aimlessly. You are being positioned for the exact moment when God will release you into your next season. The pause is not the end. It is the holy space before the beginning. The test of betrayal is rarely obvious at first. It does not always come through an open enemy or a loud accuser. More often, it comes in disguise, through the smile of someone you leaned on, through the silence of someone you trusted, or through the sudden shift of someone you believed would stand by you forever. This is how the refining fire of God often enters, not through the distant stranger, but through the familiar hand. For you, chosen one, this may already sound familiar. You may recall moments when the very person you counted on became the source of your deepest pain. At the time, it felt unfair, cruel, even. Yet heaven was not absent in that moment. God was showing you something about trust, about loyalty, about where your true foundation must be built. He was teaching you discernment. Discernment is not a gift you learn in comfort. It is forged in the furnace of disappointment. You do not learn to recognize true light until you have seen how shadows try to mimic it. You do not learn the sound of God's voice until you have compared it against the voices that led you astray. This is why betrayal in disguise carries a strange kind of purpose. It reveals what words alone cannot teach. Think of Joseph. His own brothers sold him into slavery, disguising cruelty as a solution to their jealousy. From the outside, it looked like his story was ending, but in reality, it was beginning. The very disguise of betrayal was the doorway to his destiny. Without it, he would never have reached the palace. Without it, he would not have been ready to save a nation. In your life, the brothers may not look the same, but the pattern is there. The betrayal feels like a dead end, but heaven knows it is a hidden beginning. This is why you must not let bitterness settle. Bitterness blinds, discernment reveals. If you stay soft before God, He will use even the betrayal to sharpen your vision. The voice of God thundered in the book of Micah, chapter 7, verse 5. Do not trust a neighbor, put no confidence in a friend. Even with the woman who lies in your embrace, guard the words of your lips. End. This is not a call to paranoia. It is a call to wisdom. It reminds you that ultimate trust belongs to God alone. For even the closest humans can be vessels of testing, and when you see betrayal in disguise, you will not collapse in shock. You will stand in understanding, knowing that heaven warned you. Let me share a picture with you. Imagine a garden filled with beautiful flowers. In the midst of them grows a single weed, carefully hidden among the blossoms. To the casual eye, it looks harmless, but if left unnoticed, it spreads and chokes the life around it. Betrayal often looks like that hidden weed. Only discernment, the Spirit's gentle nudge, can help you see it before it overtakes your joy. And when you recognize it, you do not curse the garden, you simply remove what does not belong, so that the rest can flourish. This is why God allows betrayal in disguise. He is teaching you to separate weeds from flowers, to see beyond appearances, to know who truly walks with you. It hurts, yes, but it protects you from deeper harm later. If the disguise had not been exposed, you would have built your future on sand instead of stone. Now I ask you to do something simple but powerful. In the comments, write the words, "I see truth." Write it as a declaration, not just as a phrase. When you type it, you are not merely responding, you are aligning your spirit with heaven's discernment. You are saying, "Lord, open my eyes, remove the disguise, show me truth." Let that be your prophetic act today. For sometimes the smallest confession unlocks the greatest clarity. And as you type it, reflect on the betrayals of your past. See how each one carried a hidden lesson. See how you are still standing, wiser and stronger. What once felt like the end was actually God's way of carving discernment into your spirit. So, do not fear the disguise. When betrayal comes, recognize it for what it is, a divine classroom. Your pain is not wasted. Your tears are not unseen. God is sharpening your eyes, preparing you for the weight of glory to come. So when you write, "I see truth," you are not typing out of habit, you are stepping into revelation. You are declaring that deception will no longer blind you, that your eyes are trained by heaven, and discernment is now your portion. Not all who smile at you are safe. This is one of the hardest truths for a chosen one to accept. You were given a heart that sees the good in people, a spirit that hopes for the best, and a love that endures beyond reason. Yet because of this, you are often the very one targeted by hidden motives. Smiles conceal dagger, and compliments sometimes mask intentions that are far from pure. Do not be dismayed at this. It is not a curse, it is a confirmation. Light attracts both seekers and pretenders. Where there is a flame, moths gather. Not all of them come to be warmed. Some come only to consume. In the same way, your spiritual fire draws people who are genuinely seeking God, but it also attracts those who come for what they can take. This is why discernment becomes the shield of the chosen. You must remember, the enemy does not always walk toward you with horns and darkness. He often cloaks himself in familiarity, in laughter, even in kindness. Judas was not a stranger to Jesus. He was close, trusted, a companion. That proximity made the wound deeper, but it also revealed the pattern every chosen one will face. The closer the calling, the closer the test. Think of it like a fruit tree. From a distance, the fruit all appears ripe and sweet, but when you bite into some, you discover worms hidden inside. The outside glistens, but the inside is corrupted. So it is with people whose smiles hide motives. You cannot rely only on appearances. You must allow God to show you the truth within. The Spirit spoke clearly through the writings of Proverbs. Chapter 27, verse 6. Wounds from a friend can be trusted, but an enemy multiplies kisses. This scripture is piercing. It reminds you that sometimes the painful honesty of a true friend is safer than the flattery of someone who pretends. Many kisses, many smiles, many words of praise. These can be the very tools of deception if your spirit is not awake. Let us be honest, this is not easy. You want to believe the best about everyone. You long for safe spaces where smiles actually mean peace. Yet your journey as a chosen one requires wisdom sharper than emotion. If you confuse smiles for safety, you risk walking blindly into traps designed to delay your purpose. There was once a young woman who carried a calling far beyond her years. She was compassionate, always helping, always giving. People loved her presence, and she believed their affection was genuine. But one day she discovered that someone she considered her closest ally had been using her kindness for selfish gain. The revelation broke her heart. At first she asked, "Lord, why would you let this happen?" Yet over time, she realized the exposure was a gift. God was showing her that not all affection is sincere. Not all attention is safe. That lesson saved her from far greater betrayals in the future. In your life, you will face similar revelations. A smile may not mean loyalty. A handshake may not mean trust. But do not become cynical. Discernment is not suspicion. Suspicion looks for flaws in everyone. Discernment listens to the Spirit and recognizes what the natural eye cannot. The difference is profound. Suspicion hardens your heart. Discernment sharpens your vision while keeping your heart soft. Think of yourself as a lighthouse on a cliff. Ships in the dark sea are drawn to your light. Some are weary sailors in need of guidance. Others are pirates looking for treasure. The same light attracts both. Your task is not to dim your light out of fear, but to ask God for eyes that recognize who approaches. God allows this testing because He is raising you into leadership, into authority. And leaders cannot afford to be naive. He will expose false smiles so that your trust is built on Him alone, not on the fragile assurance of people's approval. So, do not be surprised when someone who praised you yesterday tests you tomorrow. Do not collapse in despair when the mask of a smile falls off. Instead, see it as a divine unveiling. God is revealing who truly walks with you, and who only walks for their own gain. The exposure may sting, but it is mercy. Without it, you would build walls of trust on weak foundations. With it, You learn to anchor deeper in God. The false smiles teach you to value the rare ones who truly stand with you. Not for what you give, but for who you are in Christ. Chosen one. Not all smiles are safe. This is not a call to fear people, it is a call to sharpen your spirit. Ask God to train your eyes. Learn to look beyond the surface. Let discernment become your safeguard. For when motives are hidden, only heaven's light can expose them. And once you see clearly, no smile, whether pure or deceptive, will move you away from your purpose. You may have wondered why your path feels heavier than others. Why rejection follows you, like a shadow. Why betrayal comes not once but again and again. And why silence seems to echo in moments you need support most. Let me tell you, it is because you are set apart. The weight on your life is not punishment, it is proof. Proof that heaven has written your name in a story far greater than what you see now. Others may walk with ease, untouched by the struggles that chase you. They may laugh and move freely while you wrestle with questions in the night. But their ease is not your measure. You carry a calling they do not. You face storms they cannot endure. Because your crown is one they are not assigned to wear. The weight is not evidence of weakness, it is evidence of chosenness. Imagine a bridge built to hold thousands of travelers. Before it is opened, it must bear the crushing weight of tests, trucks, and storms. Why? Because its future will carry more than ordinary roads ever will. That is you. Heaven allows the load to test your frame because you are meant to carry generations, not just moments. The writings of the Apostle Paul in the second letter to the Corinthians, chapter 4, verse 17, declare, "For our light and momentary troubles are achieving for us an eternal glory that far outweighs them all." Now, trouble feels heavy in the moment, but in the hands of God, it is only a tool, a press that produces eternal weight of glory. You may feel crushed, yet you are not destroyed. You may feel struck down, yet you are not abandoned. Your very survival through these seasons is proof of your divine strength. There was once a chosen one who endured season after season of being overlooked, while their peers celebrated promotions, recognition, and advancement. They sat unseen, unnoticed, rejected. At first, it felt like abandonment, but in that hidden season, God was chiseling their character, carving depth into their faith, and planting resilience into their soul. Years later, when elevation came, they carried a strength no quick promotion could give. Their weight had become their witness. That is your story too. Every rejection is redirection. Every betrayal is refinement. Every night you thought was wasted was actually a seed of endurance being planted in you. This is why you cannot compare your journey with others. Their roads may be smoother, but they will never carry the same eternal imprint. Think of gold refined in the furnace. It does not complain about the heat, because the fire is the only way impurities can be removed. The heavier the fire, the purer the gold. In the same way, your calling requires a heat others will never endure. Do not despise it. Without it, your crown would not shine as it is meant to. And here, I want to speak gently but firmly. If these words resonate with you, if you know you are one of those who carries this heavier weight, do not keep silent. Respond. Like this message, not for me, but as a way of declaring, yes, I see myself in this. I embrace the weight as part of my calling. Share it so another weary soul, someone scrolling in silence, wondering if they can keep going, will find their strength again. Subscribe, because you need reminders like this consistently. Your spirit requires constant nourishment, and these words are part of heaven's provision for you. And if God stirs your heart, consider sowing a seed. Do it not as an obligation, but as an act of agreement with the very message you've received. Every seed ensures that these words continue to travel, reaching more chosen ones who are on the verge of giving up. Think of it this way. Some climb mountains with their feet. Others help the climber with their hands. Both are vital to the mission. Chosen one, your weight is holy. Do not resent it. Do not despise it. Carry it with the awareness that each struggle is shaping you for eternal glory. When others see only your scars, heaven sees your crown. When others see rejection, heaven sees preparation. When others see heaviness, heaven sees destiny. The burden on your shoulders is the very proof that you are not ordinary. You are chosen, refined, tested, and destined. Lift your head. Your weight is not the end of you. It is the very evidence that you are being readied for the place God has prepared. There is something you must understand, something many ignore until it is too late. Divine warnings are not suggestions. They are urgent nudges from the Spirit, guiding you away from destruction and into safety. Yet too often, those nudges are dismissed, silenced under the noise of comfort, procrastination, or distraction. Every ignored whisper carries weight, for heaven does not waste words. The delay of obedience is itself a danger. When God speaks, the safest response is immediate surrender. Every moment of hesitation opens a door to confusion, and every postponed decision gives the enemy room to sow lies. That is why today's warning is not casual. It is a call to rise and respond. Think of a traveler at a train station. The announcement comes, "Board now." The train is departing. Those who move quickly step into their journey, but those who delay checking their bags, distracted by noise, watch as the doors close and the train leaves without them. The opportunity is not gone forever, but the delay costs time, energy, and sometimes destiny. So it is with divine warnings. When heaven says, "Move," your future depends on obedience without delay. The prophet Moses once told the people of Israel, as recorded in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 30, verse 19, "I have set before you life and death, blessings and curses. Now choose life, so that you and your children may live." And notice the urgency here. God does not simply present options and walk away. He urges them to choose life, immediately and decisively. Delay could mean disaster. This same principle applies to you. Chosen one, the Spirit's warnings are choices set before you. And procrastination is often the silent thief that steals destiny. You may recall moments in your own life when a subtle nudge stirred your spirit. Do not go there. Do not trust that voice. Speak now, not later. At times, you listened, and the result was protection. At other times, you ignored it, and only later realized what danger could have been avoided. Those memories are not coincidences. They are evidence of God's mercy, pulling you back each time you wandered close to harm. But here is the sobering truth. Mercy is not infinite when warnings are ignored repeatedly. If you continually silence the Spirit's voice, the volume begins to fade. What was once clear becomes cloudy. The danger is not that God stops speaking, it is that your heart grows dull, unable to hear what He is saying. That is why the call today is urgent. Awaken your ear before silence settles in. Imagine a lamp burning in a dark room. Each time you cover it, the flame weakens. Leave it covered long enough, and it flickers out completely. Your discernment works the same way. Every ignored nudge covers the flame, and if you keep covering it, the light will dim until you struggle to see at all. This is why obedience must be swift. It keeps the flame alive, burning brightly, guiding you through the darkness. There was once a chosen one who felt the Spirit tug on their heart. Do not take that path. It will cost you. Yet in their reasoning, they delayed. They thought, maybe later, maybe tomorrow. But tomorrow never came in the way they hoped. The delay cost them years of detour, unnecessary pain that could have been avoided. And yet, even in that, God used the pain to draw them back. Still, they never forgot how much lighter the journey could have been had they simply obeyed the first time. This is your warning. Do not allow delay to be your downfall. The Spirit's nudge is not coincidence. It is heaven's way of saving you from a trap you cannot see. And now, I ask you to mark your agreement with heaven. In the comments, write the number 333, not as superstition, but as a prophetic act, declaring, I walk under the fullness of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. I will not delay when heaven speaks. That number is your covenant reminder. The triune God covers your steps, and your obedience belongs to Him. When you type it, let your heart reflect on every time you delayed in the past, and commit that this season will be different. Say to yourself, no more hesitation. When God speaks, I will obey without delay. This is not just a comment, it is a declaration of alignment, binding your spirit to the timing of God. Chosen one. Divine warnings are treasures. They are heaven's way of bending time in your favor, of pulling you back from the cliff's edge before you fall. Treat them with reverence. Act on them with urgency. For the difference between delay and obedience is often the difference between wandering and walking into destiny. The door is open now. Step through it before it closes. There are lessons you can only learn in the wilderness, the crowded places, the noisy cities. The circles filled with people do not always shape you. It is when you are alone, misunderstood, and pressed into silence that the deepest growth begins. The wilderness is not a punishment, it is God's classroom. When the familiar voices are absent and the comfort of friends is gone, you find yourself forced to listen differently. In the stillness, the whispers of heaven become clear. Many resist this season, thinking it means abandonment. In truth, it means refinement. God hides His chosen ones away. Just as a gardener hides seeds in the dark soil, it looks like burial, but it is preparation for growth. Think of Israel's journey. They were delivered from Egypt, but before entering the promised land, they wandered in the wilderness. Why? Because it was there they had to unlearn the chains of slavery and learn the trust of freedom. The wilderness stripped away their reliance on man and taught them to rely daily on manna from heaven. What looked like delay was actually development. You may feel that same stripping now. People you once trusted have stepped away. Places you once leaned on no longer bring comfort. And in this solitude, you wonder if God has forgotten you, but He has not. He is teaching you to hear His voice above all others. The wilderness may feel empty, but it is where you become filled with clarity. The ancient words recorded in the book of Hosea, chapter 2, verse 14. Declare, therefore I am now going to allure her. I will lead her into the wilderness and speak tenderly to her. Oh, do you see? The wilderness is not a place of punishment, it is a place of intimacy. God draws you there so He can speak tenderly, without distraction, without competition. What you learn in the wilderness cannot be taken from you, because it becomes part of your very being. Consider the life of David. Before he was crowned king, he was hidden in fields with sheep. No one saw him. No one celebrated him. Yet in that hidden wilderness, he learned to worship with a harp, to protect with a sling, and to listen for the voice of God. What felt like obscurity was actually training. When the giant appeared, David did not panic. He had already faced lions and bears in the solitude of the fields. His wilderness prepared him for his moment of destiny. The wilderness also removes idols. When you are stripped of support, you realize how easily you leaned on others more than God. The silence forces you to confront yourself, your motives, your fears. This confrontation is painful, yet necessary. A heart that is divided cannot carry the weight of divine calling, and so God isolates His chosen ones until their devotion is purified. Imagine a sculptor chiseling a statue. Each strike of the chisel removes what does not belong. The wilderness is that chisel. It breaks away pride, fear, and dependence on man. It leaves you raw but ready, shaped into a vessel heaven can fill. Without this process, you would crumble under the weight of your assignment. There was once a chosen one who longed for community, for affirmation, for recognition. Yet, season after season, they found themselves in solitude. Friends drifted, opportunities vanished, and silence became their companion. At first, bitterness grew, but slowly, the realization dawned. The wilderness was not rejection. It was protection. God was cutting away noise so that their ear could tune to His frequency. When the season ended, their voice carried authority because it echoed not man's opinion, but heaven's truth. So, do not despise your wilderness. Though lonely, it is sacred. Though painful, it is purposeful. It is here you learn endurance, strength, and discernment. It is here you hear the gentle whispers that guide you when the storms of destiny roar. Chosen one, you will not remain in the wilderness forever. Seeds do not stay underground. They rise in their appointed time. But until that moment, treasure the lessons being written in silence. For one day, when the world listens to your voice, they will not realize that every word they hear was forged in secret. When you walked alone with God, and when that day comes, you will look back and thank God for every lonely night, every unanswered prayer, every hidden season. You will understand that the wilderness was never wasted. It was the sacred forge where your spirit was strengthened and your destiny was secured. What felt like silence was actually God's deepest conversation with you. The most piercing wounds are not always those inflicted by enemies. They come from the people you trusted most. the ones you opened your heart to, the ones you believed would never hurt you. When love itself becomes a trial, the pain is unlike any other. Yet, chosen one, this pain is not wasted. It is a holy furnace shaping your strength. You see, love is powerful. It binds hearts, builds bridges, and sustains hope. But because it runs so deep, it is also where wounds cut the sharpest. Betrayal by a stranger can sting, but betrayal by someone you love feels like the earth itself has shifted under your feet. God knows this. He allows the test because it purifies love, teaching you that even the deepest human bond must never replace your dependence on Him. Think of Abraham, the father of faith. The greatest test of his life was not against armies or enemies. It was the command to lay his beloved son Isaac on the altar. Love itself became the trial. The test was not about losing Isaac, it was about proving that Abraham's ultimate trust belonged to God alone. And once Abraham passed that test, heaven responded with blessing and covenant that outlasted generations. So it is with you. When love becomes your trial, it is not because God desires to rob you of joy, but because He desires to anchor you in unshakable trust. If your foundation rests only on people, it will collapse. But if your foundation rests on Him, then no wound, not even the deepest betrayal, can destroy you. The writings of the Apostle Peter, in his first letter, chapter 4, verse 12, remind us, dear friends, do not be surprised at the fiery ordeal that has come on you to test you, as though something strange were happening to you. Notice carefully, fiery trials are not strange. They are necessary. The pain you feel is not the evidence of abandonment, it is the evidence of refinement. Let me share a picture with you. Imagine a pearl. It is formed when an oyster suffers an irritation, a wound caused by a grain of sand. In response to that wound, the oyster releases a substance that eventually creates a pearl of great value. Without the wound, no pearl exists. In the same way, the wound of betrayal becomes the birthplace of something precious in you, a strength, a compasión, a wisdom that could not exist without pain. There was once a chosen one who poured everything into a relationship they thought would last forever. Trust was given freely, sacrifices were made quietly, and love was extended without measure. But one day, the very person they loved most became the source of the deepest wound. For a season, it broke them. Tears became their language, and silence became their companion. Yet in that breaking, they learned something profound. God was still near, whispering, healing, strengthening. The pain of love turned into the testimony of resilience. They emerged, not bitter, but wiser, not hardened, but purified. And this is the invitation for you as well. When love becomes your trial, do not let it poison you with bitterness. Let it shape you with wisdom. Do not allow betrayal to convince you that you are unlovable. Allow it to remind you that your worth has never depended on the approval of people. It has always been sealed by God. Think of metal placed in a forge. The fire is scorching, the blows of the hammer relentless, yet every strike shapes it into a weapon of precision, a tool of strength. Your heart, though wounded, is being forged in the same way. What the enemy intended for your destruction, God is turning into construction. This is not to minimize your pain. Heaven does not dismiss your tears. Each one is collected. Each one is remembered. but those tears water the soil of your future. They prepare the ground for fruit that only grows in lives that have endured the test of love. So if you find yourself in that season, aching from the wound of trust broken, know this: it will not be the end of you. It is the shaping of you. Your love, purified by pain, will become a love that carries healing for others. Your story will one day be the testimony that saves another broken heart from despair. Chosen one. Love is holy, but even love must be refined. When love becomes a trial, let it drive you deeper into the embrace of God. There, you will discover a love that never wounds, never betrays, and never fades. That love will heal you, anchor you, and raise you stronger than before. There comes a moment when hidden things can no longer remain concealed. What was once whispered in secret begins to echo in the open. Lies collapse under the weight of truth, and masks fall from faces that pretended loyalty. This is the work of God, to open your spiritual eyes so you can see beyond appearances. For too long, you may have leaned on outward impressions, judging by smiles, gestures, and words. But surface-level vision is never enough for a chosen one. You are called to deeper sight, the kind that pierces through the disguise, the kind that recognizes intention beyond expression. This is not suspicion, it is discernment. It is the Spirit's gift to those who must walk carefully through a world full of illusions. Think of Elisha's servant in the Book of Kings. When surrounded by armies, the servant trembled with fear. But Elisha prayed, "Open his eyes, Lord, so that he may see." Suddenly, the servant's vision shifted, and he saw chariots of fire surrounding them. The danger had not disappeared. His eyes had simply been opened to the greater reality. That is what God desires for you, to see the unseen, to discern the truth, to recognize deception before it snares you. The Apostle Paul wrote in his letter to the Ephesians, chapter 5, verse 13, "But everything exposed by the light becomes visible, and everything that is illuminated becomes a light." When God shines his light, deception cannot survive. Masks crumble, motifs surface, and what once looked safe reveals its true nature. This exposure is not meant to shame you, it is meant to protect you. It ensures that you do not build your destiny on false foundations. Imagine walking through a cave with only a candle. Shadows dance on the walls, creating shapes that look alive. Without discernment, you would fear the shadows as if they were real. But when light floods the cave, you see clearly they were only illusions. In the same way, when God opens your eyes, you no longer stumble in confusion. You see what is real, and peace returns to your steps. There was once a chosen one who trusted too quickly, blinded by outward appearances. For years, they carried relationships that drained rather than strengthened. But when God opened their eyes, they realized they had been giving pearls to those who had no intention of valuing them. It hurt to see the truth, but it also freed them. No longer bound to false loyalty, they walked lighter, stronger, wiser. This is why you must pray for opened eyes. Without it, you risk staying tied to those who are not for you, investing in what was never God's assignment. With it, you recognize who is aligned and who is disguised. And once you see, you cannot unsee. The truth becomes your shield. Now, let your heart respond in faith. In the comments, write the words, "Open my eyes," Keep it simple. Keep it true. As you type it, you are making a prophetic declaration. Lord, let my vision go beyond the surface. Strip away every illusion. Show me what is real. This act is not just words, it is an invitation for heaven to sharpen your discernment. And when you do this, do not fear what will be revealed. Sometimes the truth is painful, but it is always liberating. Better a hard truth that frees you than a sweet lie that binds you. Better clarity now than heartbreak later. Chosen one, God is opening your eyes in this season. What once was hidden will be revealed. What once was confusing will become clear. You will not stumble blindly into traps, for light will guide your every step, and when that clarity comes, you will feel the weight lift from your shoulders, no longer bound by the expectations of those who never truly walked with you. You will move freely into the spaces God has designed. The unveiling may remove some familiar faces, but it will also bring divine alignments, people whose presence strengthens, not drains, voices that guide, not manipulate. Think of an eagle soaring high above the earth. From the ground, the forest looks like a thick, impenetrable wall of green. But from above, the eagle sees the paths, the rivers, the openings. Your spiritual sight is that elevation. You are no longer lost in the forest, you rise above it. And suddenly, the way forward is visible. This is why your prayer must always be, Lord, keep my eyes open. Because the moment you see clearly, the traps of yesterday lose their power. Your steps become steady. Your heart grows confident. And your destiny unfolds without disguise. The story of every chosen one carries the shadow of betrayal. And this is not by accident. It is a mark of your alignment with the path of Christ himself. For even the Son of God, perfect in love and truth, was not spared the sting of a trusted companion's betrayal. If he endured it, how much more must you? Judas did not come as an open enemy. He came with a kiss, a sign of closeness, a symbol of trust. That is the depth of betrayal. The very gesture of love was turned into a weapon. But Jesus was not surprised. He knew the pattern. He recognized the spirit. And he still fulfilled his mission. This is what you must learn. Betrayal is not the end of your calling, it is a step within it. The writings of the psalmist David in the book of Psalms, chapter 41, verse 9, declare, even my close friend, someone I trusted, one who shared my bread, has turned against me. David felt it, Jesus lived it, and you, chosen one, will experience it too. But this is not to discourage you, rather, it is to awaken you to the truth. Betrayal is not random pain, it is prophetic preparation. It places you in the lineage of those refined by fire and entrusted with crowns. Think of it like this: a diamond cannot sparkle unless it is cut. The cut seems cruel to the untrained eye, but it is the only way its brilliance is revealed. Betrayal is that cut. Painful, yes, but necessary to release the beauty and authority that has been hidden within you. There was once a chosen one who poured their heart into friendships, serving and giving without measure. Then came the sting of betrayal. The very ones they trusted most turned their back. The wound was deep, but it became the place where they discovered God's unshakable faithfulness. Years later, their story carried a unique authority, for they could speak not only of theory, but of survival. healing, and triumph through Christ. This is what betrayal does. It equips you to carry a testimony that words alone cannot create. It teaches you to discern motives, to guard your heart without closing it, and to depend on God above all. Now let me speak to your spirit. If you feel the sting of betrayal even now, do not see it as the end. It is the evidence that you are on the same path as the great ones who came before you. Joseph endured it. David endured it. Jesus himself endured it. And all emerged, not weaker, but stronger, lifted into places their betrayers could never reach. So let your response today be different. Instead of bitterness, choose clarity. Instead of vengeance, choose growth. Instead of silence, choose to let your testimony shine. Because betrayal is not meant to bury you, it is meant to launch you. And if this message speaks into your season, do not let it pass quietly. Like this message as a declaration that betrayal will not break you. Share it so someone else, who is drowning under the same pain, will see hope rise again. Subscribe so your spirit is continually fed with reminders that keep you steady in this journey. And if God stirs your heart, sow a seed into this work. Every act of generosity ensures these words continue to reach others standing where you stand today, wounded, but destined for victory. Your obedience in giving is never wasted. It is heaven's way of multiplying hope for someone else. Think of it this way: your seed is not lost. It is like water poured into dry soil. At first, nothing seems to happen. But soon, new life bursts forth. What you sow today, heaven multiplies tomorrow. Chosen one. Betrayal may be a chapter in your story, but it will never be the conclusion. What was meant to cut you down is carving you into something priceless. And those who betrayed you will one day stand as witnesses to the glory God releases in your life. Lift your head. The Judas spirit may have kissed you, but it cannot curse you. The cross may pierce you, but it will also raise you, and just as Jesus rose, so will you. And when you rise, your scars will no longer speak of pain, but of power. The very places where betrayal struck will shine as evidence of God's restoration. Those who wounded you will see that what they meant for harm became the fuel for your ascension. Your testimony will not only strengthen you, but ignite hope in others who are still trapped in the shadow of betrayal. There is a solemn truth you must face. Mercy is a gift, but it is not a blanket without end. The patience of God is vast, deeper than the oceans, wider than the skies. Yet even patience has a point where silence becomes judgment. When warnings are ignored, when nudges are dismissed, when rebellion hardens into habit, the hand of mercy begins to step back. This is not to frighten you, but to awaken you. Many believe that grace is endless tolerance, that they can wander endlessly and still expect the door to remain wide open. But Scripture reveals a sharper reality. When the heart chooses rebellion long enough, the voice of God grows distant, and blindness sets in. That is the true danger. Not that God stops speaking, but that you no longer have ears to hear. The ancient words recorded in the book of Hebrews, chapter 10, verse 26. Declare, if we deliberately keep on sinning after we have received the knowledge of the truth, no sacrifice for sins is left. Ember. This verse is not casual. It strikes like a sword, reminding us that rebellion after revelation carries a heavy cost. Once you have tasted light, To turn back to darkness is not ignorance, it is defiance. And defiance eventually closes doors that grace had once kept open. Think of Pharaoh in the days of Moses. Time and again, God sent warnings. Time and again, mercy gave opportunity to repent. Yet Pharaoh hardened his heart repeatedly, until Scripture says that God himself hardened Pharaoh's heart. Mercy stepped back, and judgment entered. What began as rebellion became blindness, and blindness led to destruction. This pattern remains. When mercy is extended but ignored, its withdrawal becomes the very judgment we fear. For the absence of mercy is not merely punishment, it is exposure to the consequences we once were shielded from. Imagine standing on a cliff with a guardrail protecting you from falling. As long as the rail remains, you may stumble, but you cannot plummet. But if, through negligence and defiance, you dismantle the guardrail yourself, your next stumble will lead to a fall. Mercy is that guardrail. Ignore it long enough, and its removal leaves you exposed. There was once a chosen one who felt the gentle warnings of God again and again. Do not enter that relationship. Do not step into that compromise. Do not silence my voice. Yet each warning was brushed aside. At first, the consequences seemed small, as though they had escaped. But over time, the silence of heaven became loud. No longer did they feel the conviction that once pricked their heart. It was not that God had abandoned them, it was that repeated rebellion dulled their ears. It took years of wandering before they finally cried out again, desperate for mercy to return. By grace, God restored them. But they carried scars as reminders of how close they came to ruin. This is the weight of mercy stepping back. It does not happen in a moment, but gradually, as rebellion becomes routine. That is why every whisper from God must be treasured. Every conviction is proof that your heart is still alive, still tender, still responsive. Conviction, though painful, is a gift. It means the Spirit is near, still guarding, still guiding. The day conviction disappears, you must tremble, for that silence is far more terrifying than any rebuke. Chosen one, you must guard against this drift. It begins subtly, one delayed obedience, one ignored warning, one compromise excused as harmless. But over time, the heart hardens, and blindness creeps in. This is why you cannot afford to treat warnings lightly. Every whisper matters. Every nudge is sacred. Every pause is heaven protecting you. Consider again the lamp covered by layers of cloth. At first, the flame still shines faintly through, but each new layer dims it more. Eventually, the flame is smothered. Not because it was extinguished in a single moment, but because it was covered repeatedly until no light remained. So it is with mercy. Layer after layer of rejection silences its glow. And yet, even in this warning, hope remains. For if you hear this message now, it means mercy has not stepped back fully. The very fact that conviction stirs in your heart as you listen proves that heaven is still calling. The door is not yet shut. The light is not yet out. But the urgency is clear. Respond before silence settles. This is not a moment to fear, but a moment to awaken. Let the weight of mercy sober you. But let the reality of God's patience encourage you. You are not yet lost. You are still seen, still called, still pursued. But tomorrow is not promised. Today is the day to soften your heart and respond. There are moments when destiny does not wait. You stand at a prophetic crossroad, and the choice you make in that moment marks the direction of your life. Some paths are wide, filled with comfort, but they lead to emptiness. Others are narrow, filled with resistance, but they lead to eternal purpose. At such crossroads, hesitation is costly. Today, you are standing at one. This season is not casual. You may have felt the pull already, an unrest in your spirit, a sense that something is shifting. That is heaven's signal. God is calling you to declare where your loyalty lies, to align your heart openly with His voice. It is not enough to think it silently. Prophetic acts require outward expression. They mark the invisible world with visible faith. The ancient words in the book of Joshua, chapter 24, verse 15. Declare, choose for yourselves this day whom you will serve. But as for me and my household, we will serve the Lord. You know, this scripture is not distant history. It is present reality. Joshua's challenge echoes to you now. The crossroad is here, and the Spirit whispers, choose today. Neutrality is no longer an option. Think of a soldier receiving the call to battle. To delay is to risk the lives of others. To refuse is to abandon the mission entirely. But to step forward is to embrace both risk and honor. Your decision at this crossroad carries that same weight. It is not only about you, it impacts those connected to your calling. Those who will one day be freed or healed because you chose rightly. There was once a chosen one who wrestled at such a crossroad. They knew God's voice, but feared the cost. To obey meant losing relationships, comfort, and the approval of many. For a while, they delayed, caught between two opinions. But the more they lingered, the heavier the weight became. Finally, with trembling courage, they declared their allegiance to God. In that moment, a shift occurred. Doors opened that had been locked. Strength rose that had not existed before. And clarity silenced confusion. The choice birthed a new chapter. So it will be for you. At this prophetic crossroad, indecision is itself a decision. To delay is to drift, but to choose boldly is to step into alignment with heaven's plan. And now, mark your decision. Write the number 222 the comments. Do it as a sign not of superstition, but of covenant. 2 is the number of agreement. And by writing it, you declare, I agree with heaven. I align with God's voice. I will not waver. When you type it, let it not be mechanical. Let it carry the weight of your choice. Let it echo in your spirit. I choose the narrow path. I choose obedience. I choose life. That number becomes a prophetic witness, reminding you that the choice was made today, not tomorrow. Imagine walking a path with two roads diverging. One looks easy, wide, filled with laughter, but in the distance it fades into emptiness. The other looks steep, narrow, difficult, but at the horizon it shines with light. Your step today, there's your future tomorrow. The Spirit is urging, do not waver, choose the light. Chosen one. The crossroad is before you. Heaven watches, earth waits, and eternity records. Let your response be clear. Let your declaration be bold. For this is not just about where you walk, it is about who you are becoming. And when you choose, the atmosphere around you shifts. Invisible chains that once held you back begin to break. What felt like confusion becomes clarity. The fog that lingered over your spirit lifts, and the path that seemed hidden suddenly opens with light. This is the power of prophetic choice. It is not merely a moment of decision. It is a doorway into destiny. Remember, chosen one, that heaven always honors boldness. When Elijah stood before Israel on Mount Carmel, he cried, "How long will you waver between two opinions? If the Lord is God, follow him." That same call reaches you now. You cannot serve two masters. You cannot divide your loyalty. The crossroad requires a single direction, and your choice today sets in motion blessings that ripple into generations after you. Do not fear what you may lose when you choose obedience. What you release will be replaced with greater. What you surrender will return, multiplied. Abraham placed Isaac on the altar, and in return, God sealed a covenant that birthed nations. Your obedience may cost you comfort, but it will crown you with destiny. So, step forward. Declare boldly. Heaven records your choice, and angels move to align your path. The crossroad is not your end, it is your beginning. Pain is not the end of you, it is the fire that forges you. The very wounds you thought would break you are, in truth, the places where God is writing authority upon your life. Every scar carries a story, and every tear sown in silence becomes strength harvested in glory. Chosen one, the season of pain you have endured is not wasted, it is the soil from which your strength is rising. You must understand that God does not allow your suffering without purpose. Just as iron must pass through flame to become steel, so too your heart must pass through trials to emerge unshakable. Pain has a way of stripping away illusions, leaving only what is real. It teaches you endurance, patience, and above all, reliance on God. The ancient words recorded in the book of Romans, chapter 5, verses 3 and 4, proclaim, "We glory in our sufferings, because we know that suffering produces perseverance, perseverance, character, and character, hope." No, here is the divine pattern. Suffering is not a curse, it is a catalyst. Pain produce persévérance. Perseverance refines character, and character births hope. Without pain, this chain of transformation cannot unfold. Consider Joseph once more. Betrayed, abandoned, imprisoned, each season cut deeply. Yet when promotion came, his wounds became his wisdom. He could stand in the palace with compassion instead of bitterness, because the fire had purified his heart. His pain had birthed strength, and his strength carried authority to save nations. Think of your own story. The sleepless nights, the unanswered prayers, the loneliness that seemed unbearable. These were not signs of God's absence, but invitations to deeper strength. Every time you stood back up after falling, every time you chose faith instead of despair, your spirit grew stronger. What you thought was breaking you was actually building you. Pain also gives you authority to heal others. A doctor who has never been sick may prescribe medicine, but the one who has walked through illness speaks with a deeper compassion. In the same way, your wounds make you a healer. You understand what others cannot put into words. You can touch places in people's hearts that theory alone cannot reach, because you have lived it. There was once a chosen one who endured betrayal after betrayal. Each wound left them weaker in the eyes of the world, but stronger in the spirit. One day, someone came to them, broken by the same betrayal, with tears in their eyes. The chosen one said, "I know what that feels like." And in that moment, their story became medicine. Their pain became power. Imagine a tree struck by storm after storm. Its branches may break, its bark may scar, but each storm drives its roots deeper. And when the next storm comes, that tree stands taller than those never tested. So it is with you. The storms have not destroyed you. They have driven your roots deeper into God. Your strength is not loud, not boastful. It is quiet, steady, unshockable. It shows in the way you endure without quitting, the way you love, even after being hurt, the way you hope, even when others see no reason to. That strength is a testimony greater than words. Chosen one. The rise of your strength from pain is not for you alone. It is for those who will one day look to you for courage. Your endurance becomes their inspiration. Your scars become their map out of the valley. This is why you could not be spared the pain. It was not only about your story, but about the healing of many. So, do not despise your scars. Wear them as proof that you endured what others could not. See them as marks of authority, signs that you carry a depth not learned in books but forged in life. For when others see only weakness, heaven sees the signature of survival, the seal of strength. Chosen one, your strength is rising even now. Pain may have been your teacher, but glory will be your crown. Hold fast to this truth. What was meant to break you has become the very reason you are unbreakable. And soon, you will recognize that every valley was a rehearsal for the mountain. The crushing seasons were not meant to erase you, but to reveal you. When you stand before others, they will not only hear your words, they will feel your journey. Your strength will not be theory, it will be evidence. And in that moment, you will understand why pain had to be part of the process, because only through the breaking could the fragrance of your true anointing be released. Fire has always been a symbol of testing, and for the chosen ones, it is unavoidable. You cannot wear a crown without first passing through the furnace. The trials you have endured were not simply obstacles, they were the flames preparing you for greater authority. Every moment of heat, every season of pressure, every night of tears has been part of a divine process to qualify you for what lies ahead. Crown after fire, that is the rhythm of heaven. Without fire, crowns are hollow. Without testing, authority is fragile. But with fire, your crown carries weight, your words carry power, and your life carries testimony. Think of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. They were thrown into a literal furnace, bound and sentenced to death. Yet in the fire, they encountered the presence of God Himself. The flames that were meant to destroy them became the very stage for their promotion. When they emerged, not even the smell of smoke clung to them. That is what happens when you, chosen one, endure the fire. Faithfully, the very test becomes your testimony, and your testimony qualifies you for a crown. The writings of the Apostle James, in his first chapter, verse 12, proclaim, "Blessed is the one who perseveres under trial, because, having stood the test, that person will receive the crown of life that the Lord has promised to those who love Him." And this is heaven's promise, Trials are temporary, but crowns are eternal. The fire you face now will not last forever, but the authority it produces will remain for eternity. There was once a chosen one who endured betrayal, loss, and seasons of hiddenness. To others, it looked like defeat, but in the secret place, they were being refined. The fire burned away fear, pride, and dependence on others, leaving only purity and strength. Years later, when they stepped into their calling, people marveled at their authority. What they did not see was that every ounce of authority came from nights in the fire, when only God's presence sustained them. Fire is not meant to consume you, it is meant to purify you. Gold is not diminished by fire, it is revealed. In the same way, the trials you endure do not lessen your value, they expose it. When you emerge, the world sees what heaven already knew, that you are worthy of the crown set aside for you. Imagine clay placed in a kiln. At first, it is fragile, soft, and easily broken. But after fire, it becomes firm, strong, and useful. Without the kiln, the clay would never fulfill its purpose. Without the fire, it would crumble under weight. So too, you must pass through fire to become what heaven intended. The crown after fire is not only a personal reward, it is a sign to others. When they see you stand unshaken despite storms, they realize there is a God who sustains. Your crown is not only for your head, it is for the glory of the one who brought you through. Do not fear the flames that surround you. They are not eternal. The furnace has a limit. God controls the temperature, and He knows exactly how much heat is needed to shape you without destroying you. What feels unbearable is measured by the hand of mercy, and when the fire has done its work, you will emerge not as ashes, but as testimony. There was once a story told of a refiner who watched gold in the fire. He heated it until impurities rose to the surface. When asked how long he would keep it in the flames, he answered, "Until I can see my reflection in it." So it is with you. God allows the fire until His reflection shines in your life. And then, you are ready for the crown. Chosen one. The fire has been fierce, but it will not last forever. Your crown is near. Wear your scars as jewels, your tears as diamonds, your endurance as gold. For heaven has marked you not for destruction, but for coronation. The crown after the fire is not just a promise, it is your destiny. When you carry the mark of heaven, you cannot go unnoticed. Even if you try to blend in, the glow of your calling will betray you. This is what it means to be marked by glory. You are not like the rest, and the struggles you endure, the battles you face, and even the rejection you encounter are proof that heaven has stamped you as chosen. Rejection is painful, but it is not random. It is often the clearest evidence of your chosenness. The world does not reject what is ordinary. It resists what carries weight. Your very presence unsettles darkness. You walk into rooms and, without speaking, spiritual atmospheres shift. This is why you have felt opposition even when you did nothing wrong. It is not because you are weak, it is because you are marked. The ancient words recorded in the Gospel of John, chapter 15, verse 19, declare, "You do not belong to the world, but I have chosen you out of the world. That is why the world hates you." Do you see? Being chosen means you cannot fit in. You will never fully belong in places that were not built for your destiny. And though this can feel lonely, it is also liberating, for the very thing that makes you different is the reason you will shine. Think of Moses, marked since birth. He could not remain hidden, even in Pharaoh's house. He was never fully Egyptian. Even among his own people, he was misunderstood. Yet his mark was undeniable. It set him apart for a mission only he could fulfill. Your life follows this pattern. You may not fit neatly into the circles around you, but that is because you are set apart for something greater. There was once a chosen one who struggled with rejection for years. No matter how hard they tried to earn acceptance, they always felt out of place. At times, they thought something was wrong with them. But as the years passed, God revealed the truth. They were not broken, they were marked. The rejection was not a curse, it was protection, keeping them from environments that could not contain their calling. Being marked by glory means you carry weight others cannot carry. It means your words carry impact, even when spoken softly. It means your actions echo further than you realize. People may not understand you, but they cannot ignore you. Now, let me speak directly to your spirit. If these words resonate with you, if you know you carry this mark, do not stay silent. Like this message as your way of saying, I embrace my calling, even when it costs me acceptance. Share it so another weary soul who feels rejected will understand they are not broken, they are chosen. And take a moment to comment your agreement below. Write something simple from your heart, such as, I am marked. Let it be your prophetic declaration that you accept the distinction heaven has placed on you. And do not forget to subscribe so that you continue to walk with a community of those who carry this same weight. You cannot endure this journey alone. These reminders will strengthen you, keeping your spirit sharp and your hope alive. If God places it on your heart, sow a seed into this work, not out of obligation, but out of alignment. Every seed fuels the spreading of these words, reaching other chosen ones who are standing where you once stood, confused by rejection, unaware of their mark. Your giving is not just support, it is oil for the flame, ensuring that light reaches places you may never step into yourself. Imagine a torch being lit in the darkness. When one person lifts it, only a small circle is illuminated. But when others gather, bringing their oil, the flame grows brighter, reaching further. Your seed is that oil. It ensures the flame does not die, but spreads to ignite others. Chosen one, do not resent the mark upon your life. Do not mourn the circles that rejected you. Instead, rejoice that you were set apart. For the mark is not a burden, it is a crown. And one day, those who pushed you aside will witness the fullness of what God has placed upon you. You are marked, unstoppable, crowned with glory. Walk boldly in that truth, and never again apologize for the light that makes you different. And when you walk in this truth, no rejection can shake you, and no betrayal can silence you. The mark on your life is heaven's seal, and nothing on earth has the power to erase it. There is a sacred mystery in the way God lifts his chosen ones. The same people who doubted you, who questioned your worth, who whispered that you would never rise, these very people will one day stand as witnesses to your table of honor. For the God you serve is not only Redeemer, he is the one who prepares a feast in the presence of your enemies. This is not about vengeance, but about vindication. Heaven does not raise you so you can gloat. It raises you so the testimony of His faithfulness cannot be denied. Those who underestimated you will have no choice but to see the evidence of God's hand on your life. The writings of David in the book of Psalms, chapter 23, verse 5. Declare, you prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil, my cup overflows. Here lies the heart of God. He does not remove all opposition before blessing you. Instead, He blesses you in the midst of it, so that His power shines brighter than your circumstances. Think of Joseph again, the same brothers who betrayed him, selling him into slavery, had to come and bow before him in Egypt. They came expecting a servant, but found a ruler. The very ones who thought they had ended his story became the audience of his elevation. This is how God works, turning betrayal into a platform, pain into promotion. Or consider Hannah, who wept bitterly because she was mocked for her barrenness. Her rival provoked her year after year, but when God answered her prayer with Samuel, the same rival had to witness the fulfillment. God did not silence her mocker by arguments, but by demonstration. So it will be with you. The ones who doubted your calling, who dismissed your tears, who mocked your waiting, they will not be silenced by your words, but by the undeniable evidence of what God does in your life. Your story will become its own defense. Imagine a courtroom. Accusers fill the room. Their words heavy. Their voices loud. You stand alone, silent, unsure of how to defend yourself. Then, without warning, the judge enters not with arguments, but with a ruling. His word silences every voice. That is what God's vindication looks like. He does not argue, He rules. His blessing speaks louder than accusations, and His elevation drowns out every lie. There was once a chosen one who endured years of being overlooked. Every time opportunity arose, someone else was chosen. Whispers said they were unqualified, not enough, easily forgotten. But in the hidden place, they continued faithfully, quietly, unseen. One day, without warning, God opened a door no one could shut. Suddenly, the same voices that doubted had to admit, only God could have done this. Their elevation was not explained by talent or connection, it was explained by anointing. Chosen one. This is your portion. God has not forgotten the mockery you endured, the rejection you carried, or the loneliness you felt. He has been writing a story that will one day speak louder than every insult. The table is being prepared, and your cup will overflow. But remember this, when the moment comes, do not allow pride to spoil it. The table is not prepared for you to gloat. It is prepared so that the glory of God can be revealed. Those who mocked will not bow to you. They will bow to the one who lifted you. You are simply the vessel through which His faithfulness shines. Think of a garden after a storm. Branches are broken. Mud covers the ground, and everything looks ruined. Yet as the sun rises, flowers bloom brighter than before, watered by the very storm that seemed to destroy them. The storm did not end their life, it nourished it. Your trials, too, have been watering your testimony. When the bloom comes, no one will deny its beauty. The day will come when your enemies will watch in silence. They will see that every rejection only positioned you closer to destiny. Every wound only carved strength. and every delay only prepared a greater stage. They will understand, too late, that opposing you was opposing the hand of God, and you, chosen one, will not need to defend yourself. The oil upon your head will speak. The table before you will testify, and the overflow of your cup will silence every voice. For when God prepares a table, no enemy can overturn it, and no doubter can deny it. And in that moment, you will finally see that every season of waiting was not wasted, it was orchestrated. The table is proof. God's timing is perfect, and His vindication complete. The test is not tomorrow. It is not in some distant future when life feels easier and the road is smooth. The test is today, and often it will not come through strangers or enemies, but through the very ones you trust most. This is the sharp edge of chosenness that God refines you through the hands closest to your heart. This final test is not about loss, but about loyalty. It asks the question, will you remain steadfast when trust is pierced, when faith is stretched, when obedience feels costly? Many begin the journey with zeal, but when the furnace of trust testing arrives, only the rooted endure. Today, heaven watches to see not what you feel, but what you choose. The writings of Solomon in the book of Proverbs, chapter 17, verse 3, remind us, the crucible for silver and the furnace for gold, but the Lord tests the heart. And this is where the true battle lies, not in external appearances, but in the inner chambers of the heart. It is not your enemies who reveal your character, but your responses to those you love when their actions test you. That is the proving ground of the chosen ones. Think again of Peter. He was one of Jesus' closest, bold enough to declare undying loyalty. Yet, under pressure, he denied his master 3 times. The test revealed what words alone could not, and yet, in that failure, God's mercy restored him, and Peter became a pillar of the early church. His heart was tested, and though it faltered, it was refined. So too will your heart be tested. Sometimes it will be through misunderstanding, sometimes through betrayal, sometimes through silence from those you counted on. Each test asks, where will you place your trust? In man or in God? In the comfort of approval or in the firmness of obedience? Imagine a bridge under weight. Until the weight presses down, no one knows if it will hold. The test does not come to destroy it, comes to prove what has been built. And when the bridge stands firm, it reveals its strength to all. That is what this season means for you. The test will not break you, it will reveal you. There was once a chosen one who longed for affirmation. They gave generously, trusted deeply, and built their life around those they loved. But when betrayal came through the very circle they relied on, their world collapsed. At first, the wound felt unbearable. Yet in that breaking, they learned to lean not on shifting sands, but on the rock that cannot be moved. Over time, their heart was healed, their faith unshaken, and their authority multiplied. The test had not destroyed them, it had crowned them. This is the essence of your journey. You are not refined in crowds, but in solitude. You are not crowned through ease, but through fire. Every chosen one must stand in the crucible of trust, proving by their endurance that they are ready for the weight of destiny. Think of it like an arrow being drawn back. The tension is fierce. The pull, painful, yet without that backward stretch, the arrow cannot fly forward. The test you feel today, the piercing, the stretching is the proof that God is preparing to launch you further than you dreamed. And here lies the promise: obedience secures your crown forever. When you pass this test, no man can strip what heaven has placed on you. No betrayal can cancel it. No rejection can erase it. No silence can diminish it. The test of today unlocks the triumph of tomorrow. Chosen one. Let this truth settle deeply. Do not despise the hands that test you. Do not crumble when love feels like a trial. See beyond the pain into the purpose, for heaven wastes nothing. And every tear shed in this season waters the soil of your future. The test is today. Your crown is already written into your story. And when you emerge from this crucible, you will not only survive, you will shine with the undeniable glory of one who has been proven, refined, and sealed by God Himself. And when you shine, the world will not merely see a survivor, they will see a testimony. Your endurance will become a beacon to the weary, your scars a map for the lost, your faith a song for the broken. Every wound will preach louder than words. Every tear will glisten as proof that God was with you all along. This is the legacy of the chosen ones, not that they escaped the fire, but that they walked through it and came out crowned in glory. Chosen one, you have reached the final words of this journey. But in truth, it is only the beginning. Every section you have walked through was not just story, but revelation. You have seen how trust is tested, how betrayal refines, how pain forges strength, and how crowns come only after fire. You have been reminded that you are not random, not forgotten, not ordinary. You are marked, sealed, and sent by heaven for such a time as this. Now, as you step forward, remember, your testimony is a weapon. Do not keep it silent. Let the world know that the chosen ones rise, even when the world expects them to fall. Your scars, your endurance, your victories are not just for you, they are for those still searching for hope. And if these words have stirred something deep in you, let your response be clear. Like this message, as your agreement that you embrace the path of the chosen ones, share it so that someone else, someone standing where you once stood, can discover the same strength and clarity. And take a moment to comment below. Even a short phrase like, "I choose my crown," or "I am ready." Your declaration may become the encouragement another soul desperately needs to see. Do not forget to subscribe so that you remain connected to this stream of messages, so your faith is nourished again and again. And if the Spirit places it in your heart, sow a seed into this work. Your seed is not just support, it is oil for the flame, ensuring these words continue to reach others across the world. Your generosity becomes a living echo of your faith, proof that you are not just hearing the call, but carrying it forward into the lives of others. Chosen one, arise now. The testing has prepared you, the fire has purified you, and the crown is already waiting. Walk boldly, live faithfully, and never forget you are God's chosen.